Hello everyone, this is the Fantasy Football Almanac back at it with another best ball draft video. Today we're hopping in a best ball draft, more specifically a puppy league. In the puppy league, you throw $5, you got a chance to win 80,000. You go up against 11 other individuals, hopefully draft the best team out of all of them, and then go from there. Before we really hop into the video, I know the draft's starting right now. Please, if you guys could, it would be amazing. Make my day. If you go down, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know how I do in this draft. Comment, subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. Thank you. And with that out of the way, let's talk about these first four picks. First four picks, pretty standard off the board. We got Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, and now we got B-Man up. Taking Stephon Diggs. We're going to take Austin Eckler here. Austin Eckler, absolutely dominant running back. I don't think much more needs to be said. Austin Eckler was fabulous last year. 20 total touchdowns in an offense where touchdowns are going to be absolutely abundant. I think Austin Eckler can't be a bad choice as my running back one, especially with the board, how it's unfolding. I think getting Austin Eckler between 6 and 8, he's probably the only running back I'd like to take over Stephon Diggs, but he usually goes 6. I was drafting him all over when he was going 8, 9 ADP. Now he's going all the way up to 6.6 or so. I don't know exactly what it is. Let me just give it a check real quick. 6.5. Yeah, I think he's absolutely phenomenal running back here to get in the first round. So we do take him. Derrick Henry going off the board at 8 to Presta. I'm going to call him Prestaroni. I kind of like that. Prestaroni here. Ozone Park. Taking Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Najee Harris, and Travis Kelce. We got everybody picking pretty quick. We got a really quick board here. Mike Evans coming off the board as well here, which is good. We like to see that. Maybe another running back could fall to us. We got 4 that we really like, and we're 3 picks away. Deebo Samuel coming off the board here. Does look like we're going to end up with either Joe Mixon or Saquon Barkley, most likely. Both guys would be very happy with. Mark Andrews coming off the board here. I would really like Joe Mixon. I would love Joe Mixon here. Not sure if it's going to happen. I think we may get sniped here. Prestaroni, get Derrick Henry. I did get Derrick Henry in the last draft and paired him up with Joe Mixon here. I don't think it's going to happen again. I do think we are going to get sniped here, unfortunately. It is possible we do get Joe Mixon, though, and this is my guy. This is my absolute man. Joe Mixon does get sniped from us. Here we are going to take... I think I'm going to take DeAndre Swift here, solely because I do think DeAndre Swift will provide us a more unique team combination. I do think probably more team combinations have Austin Eckler and Saquon Barkley than Austin Eckler and DeAndre Swift. Although I did really want Saquon Barkley, and I do really like Saquon Barkley, the absolute receiving work on this team is absurd. I mean, this team, these two players alone, they're going to catch more passes than these two players combined are going to catch more passes probably than all of these receivers. Which is kind of funny. These two running backs probably will catch, I mean, combined, almost 200 passes, which is actually crazy. Here we do have all these running backs coming off the board here. We got a nice little running back run. No pun intended. No rhyme intended. 5 straight running backs off the board. And Mark Andrews. This is actually pretty interesting. Usually you don't see this, but it is good. We're getting our running backs now as we pretty much started this run. Would have loved Joe Mixon here, but it doesn't happen, unfortunately. Here we got T. Higgins and Tyreek Hill coming off the board as well. The one problem with picking at 6 and 7 is kind of this gray area right here. Picks 30, 31, and 32. You can really go whatever direction you want, but all the players are probably a drop-off from, I would say, after pick 28. There comes a drop-off when you lose guys like Keenan Allen. It is a little concerning. Probably won't get Keenan Allen here. I'm imagining Nick Chubb isn't on the board either when we pick. Nick Chubb would probably be the only running back I could justify taking. Other than that, we kind of pretty much have to take a wide receiver here, hoping somebody like Keenan Allen falls. If not, honestly, no, I can't justify taking Josh Allen here. Although I do think Josh Allen is great, as we have DJ Moore coming off the board. We got, after all these running backs, now we have 5 straight wide receivers. I'm really hoping for Keenan Allen or Nick Chubb even, one of these two guys. We just can't get sniped on both of these picks, but it is possible we do. Maybe somebody reaches. It is possible. Although unlikely, I would say. We probably will get sniped on both of these guys. It is possible, however, we do end up with one of them. Kyle Pitts comes off the board. Now you're guaranteed. We'll see who B-Man takes. B-Man 13 up here. He takes Mike Williams. Making our decision, honestly, a little bit harder. It kind of sucks. Here, there probably will be, I would say, another running back run. Just based upon the way that all these teams have, a fair amount of these teams have a lot of wide receivers here. There probably will be a running back run. So we'll get all these guys off the board here. I imagine most of them probably will not be on the board. We'll take Nick Chubb. Get three absolutely insane running backs. I mean, these running backs are just ridiculous. And the difference between Keenan Allen and Hollywood Brown is not massive here. Uh, it's big, it's sizable, it's definitely there, but it's not massive. Whereas the difference between probably getting Nick Chubb and a guy like, I don't even want to say a guy like Cam Akers, because that's disrespectful to Cam Akers, but the gap really isn't, I guess, that big. But Nick Chubb's just, I would say, almost guaranteed to be a top 12 running back. He's never going to be the running back one, but he's definitely a top 12 running back. Keenan Allen and Marquise Hollywood Brown coming off the board here. And then, as I said, these running backs start coming off the board. I imagine James Conner will be off fairly soon after this. I kind of hope he is after this risky strategy we just made. But I do think it is interesting because we can get somebody like Deontay Johnson here, Jalen Waddle. All these guys really still pretty good wide receivers. Now, none of them are going to finish as the wide receiver one, but they certainly could be a very high-end wide receiver too. And when you have these three running backs, you don't really need such a thing as either that. Honestly, I could go Justin Herbert here. I probably won't, unless Jalen Waddle is off the board. And it is possible Jalen Waddle does come off the board here. I don't like Sutton at all. I just don't think Sutton's going to be productive in that offense, or nearly as productive as people think. I could obviously be wrong, but I don't really like Cortland Sutton, and now I'm just really hoping for Jalen Waddle. That'd be awesome. Preston could snipe me here, as he did with Joe Mixon. It is possible. He likes to take the full time, too. Here, it would be interesting to get a stack with Justin Herbert if Jalen Waddle does not fall to us. I think it really would be. Justin Herbert comes off the board, so we can't even consider that. We're taking our boy, Jalen Waddle. Now here, we're another 12 picks away. I would say there's a couple guys we could hope for. Probably not going to fall to us. Jerry Jeudy, there's pretty much no way he falls to us. Guys we're targeting in the next round, Rashad Bateman. Although Rashad Bateman obviously had a pretty laughable rookie year, I do think Rashad Bateman is coming into tons and tons of target volume. I mean, there's just no way around it. Even though the Ravens do pass a ton, his only competition is obviously Mark Andrews and then Devin Duvernay. I think Devin Duvernay is absolutely laughable. At the end of the day, Marquise Hollywood Brown in that same offense was able to get 145 targets last year. Those 145 targets do have to go somewhere. Some of them will go to Mark Andrews. Some of them will go to Devin Duvernay. A couple of them will probably go to J.K. Dobbins as well. But some of them have to. They absolutely have to go to Rashad Bateman. I mean, if Rashad Bateman does not get 110 targets, I would say, who else are the Ravens going to? Is Devin Duvernay getting 110 targets? I highly doubt it. So that is why I really like Rashad Bateman. I'm not his rookie year, obviously not that strong, but I still think Rashad Bateman has to be a value at 55, walking into pretty much all the catches in his offense aside from Mark Andrews. Here we got Jerry Jeudy somehow still on the board, and George Kittle. Both got some surprise to see still on this board, but it is what it is. And Lamar Jackson. Speaking of Rashad Bateman, Rashad Bateman is also on the board here. I really don't think we're going to be able to get Jerry Jeudy here. Odds are pretty low. Odds are really low, actually. But it is possible. It is very possible. Sav the Savant is up. He's only got one wide receiver, and his name's Gabe Davis. Again, not a Gabe Davis guy. But Lamar Jackson coming off the board. This guy's got one of every position. Wow. Wow, he's pretty good at every position. That's an interesting team. Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, and Kyle Pitts. Pretty much just got one of everything. I wonder who he's going to go with his secondary. A guy here, whether that be David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins, pretty much anyone but a wide receiver is what I'm hoping for. He goes Jerry Jeudy. Ends our hope for the Jeudy man. David Montgomery coming off the board here. We're going to go Rashad Bateman. get our second wide receiver. Um, then in the next round, we're really hoping for. Honestly, if I could get Chris Godwin, I mean, that would make my day. Because Chris Godwin, I really, I mean, he is kind of screwed with a little bit of an injury, but when he does come back, I mean, guy's going to be insane. And then I would just have three insane running backs and three absolutely insane wide receivers. It is interesting to see the way the board has fallen thus far. George Kittle and Lamar Jackson. Honestly, it's pretty much gone with ADP for the most part. Jerry Jeudy is probably the furthest faller, I would say. But other than that, really nobody's fallen all that far. Dalton Schultz going all the way at pick 58. I'm pretty happy about that, honestly. Allows value to fall to us with Chris Godwin, Jalen Hurts, um, even Josh Jacobs, but I wouldn't really want Josh Jacobs considering our running backs are so insane. Chris Godwin does go off the board here. Now there's one guy we like, one guy only. I'm big, huge on if Jalen Hurts gets injured this year. I'm gonna be a little sad, honestly, even though I am a Giants fan. I have been taking a ridiculous amount of Jalen Hurts this year, an amount that I'm not proud to say. Jalen Hurts is definitely my most owned QB, and it's not close. And I'm pretty ashamed as a Giants fan to admit it, but I do think he is going to be a phenomenal, an absolutely phenomenal quarterback this year because he's got the Konami code. He can run, he can pass, not really pass that well, but he can run insanely well. He can run Lamar Jackson levels and his game is predicated on running the ball. Without running, he is not a quarterback that you can viably start in the NFL. Without running, he can't start in the NFL. So he needs to run. He needs to run to save his job. And that's really what I like about him. Is he needs to run. He has to. Here, I would like to see a little bit of these running backs coming off the board here. Josh Jacobs, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon. But it wouldn't be too bad if they don't. I would also hope for some value with Jalen Hurts here. Joe Burrow coming off the board. All but guaranteeing us one of these two QBs, whoever it may be. Although I would prefer Jalen Hurts over Kyler. We're pretty much guaranteed one of them because Preston already has a QB in Justin Herbert. Adam Thielen coming off the board, guaranteeing us one of these two phenomenal QBs. We're going to take Jalen Hurts here, though. Adam Thielen coming off the board. The reason why I would take Jalen Hurts over any of these guys is none of these guys really have league-breaking upside. But Jalen Hurts is a very solid QB. I'm taking Jalen Hurts all over in this range. I think he just makes too much sense. There are other guys in the top, I would say 60 picks that are better than the Lamar Jacksons of the world. But there are a few players in this range that I would have above Jalen Hurts. That's why I like Jalen Hurts a lot. And we do kind of cause a little bit of quarterback stir up too. We have three quarterbacks coming off the board in a row. I always like when this happens because it causes a ton of panic. Tons of panic. If you see three quarterbacks coming off the board, you don't have a quarterback yet, you're going to be way more likely, especially these three teams all the way in the back end. If they don't pick a quarterback in the next two picks, 70, 71, 72, through 75, 70 through 75, they're not getting a quarterback again until they're not having availability to a quarterback until pick 94 and 99. I mean, you could actually put a huge scare on some guys with a tactic like that. I mean, it is possible, that they start reaching on Russell Wilson's in hopes or in fear that they might get screwed out of a quarterback if not. Here we got Josh Jacobs finally coming off the board at pick 70. Oh my god. Actually pretty crazy to me. I'm a little scared, a little concerned that our guy, Antonio Gibson, is going to make it back to us, forcing us to consider him, because I do really like the value on him right now. I mean, I can't believe how far he's falling. I gotta put up a video just gassing up Antonio Gibson, honestly. I think Antonio Gibson is so slept on right now. In terms of sleeper ADP, not so much. Sleeper ADP on redraft, he's actually, I think way overvalued, and I would never touch him at his ADP on sleeper. But on underdog, it's ridiculous how much people are discounting him at this point. I mean, I'll take a guy who could potentially easily be a running back one, pick 79. Some guy who can be involved in the receiving game, pick 79. I don't really understand it. Miles Sanders over him. Got him get a touchdown last year. But here we have Elijah Mitchell, DeAndre Hopkins, Russell Gage, Josh Jacobs, A.J. Dillon, Elijah Moore, and Miles Sanders. Pretty interesting. Just pretty much wide receivers and running backs coming off the board here. Still no QBs coming off. These guys are probably not going to end up reaching them on anybody too much. I'd say Trey Lance probably will get reached on. Honestly, maybe even by me. I might take Trey Lance here, honestly. Secure a second quarterback here. Uh, Two phenomenal rushing QBs. So I don't really have to worry about quarterback again or running back for the rest of the draft, and I could just focus on receiver and tight end. That is what I like to do. I mainly like to pair up Trey Lance, and I really like to pair up Trey Lance and Jalen Hurts. I think it's so nice because having that rushing upside is literally ridiculous with quarterbacks. It's the only way quarterbacks, realistically, unless you're Tom Brady, have access to a 35 point ceiling. It's the only way. Russell Wilson comes off the board. We're going to take Trey Lance here. We're going to stir up this quarterback pot a little. Make sure these guys get a little needy at QB. Ozone Park. All these guys get a little needy at QB. And then we're going to hopefully target some wide receivers and tight ends now. We don't have to worry at running back again. We don't have to worry at quarterback again. It is really nice. Brandon Ayuk coming off the board. There are a lot of wide receivers coming off the board now. This is pretty, in my opinion, not that great range for wide receivers. I mean, there are some good wide receivers, but after Chris Godwin in this range, or in the range of from 59 to here, I do think there's a pretty big drop off from Chris Godwin to everyone else. Pretty massive drop off. Now we have Hunter Renfrow, Tony Pollard, and Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the GOAT, coming off the board. It is good. Tom Brady coming off the board a tiny bit early, and we have Dak coming off the board pretty early, pushing these quarterbacks up, which is exactly what we wanted with the Trey Lance pick. And we also get Trey Lance, so there's really no downside. Here we probably will go TJ Hawkinson if he's available, which he honestly probably will be. If not, Kadarius Toney I like. I would even take Clyde here, consider taking Clyde, and then just not, have to worry about running backs the rest of the draft. There are a lot of players I like. TJ Hawkinson comes off the board. It is even possible I would like a Damian Harris potentially. But I imagine now Stafford will come off the board in this range from 94 to 99. I imagine Stafford will come off the board. And same thing with probably even like an Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins. They probably will be off the board as well, allowing us to get a tiny bit more value. This guy also has no quarterback, but some of the experienced people wait till really, really late to draft QBs. Here I just feel like we're so strapped at wide receiver here that I probably just don't want to go wide receiver. I'm probably going to go Clyde. Make sure eliminate two positions essentially that we have to take. There's just no other way around it. We have to take Clyde. I know that I think this is about Clyde's floor. It's got to be. I just think it has to be. He's been falling down these drafts a lot, but I think at this point you have to value him over Damian Harris just because of the offense he's in my opinion. I thought Damian Harris was a huge value. Believe me, I was drafting him absolutely everywhere. But now that he's gotten to the same exact price point as Clyde, I just can't do it anymore. And I've been taking Clyde in a lot of places now that Clyde has fallen a ton because the upside is totally there. He was playing injured last year, which you could say about so many players in the NFL, but he was. Then we have Damian Harris coming off the board, pick after us a little bit. We're starting a little bit of a running back run, and as I said, Matt Stafford coming off at 94, keeping up with the trend of making sure these guys get their QBs. Hopefully, one of them reaches, maybe tries to secure an Aaron Rodgers, a Derek Carr. Let's go. Our strategy is paying off a little bit, forcing these quarterbacks up, like Trey Lance and Jalen Hurts. It is possible that using, I don't know how you say that, but I hope that's it, does end up taking a quarterback here too to compensate. It is possible. He goes Rashad Penny. He's not scared. Aaron Rodgers coming off the board. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Get these quarterbacks off the board. Oh my God. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Here we may go Dallas Goedert. Get the Jalen Hurts Dallas Goedert stack, which would be nice. Dallas Goedert coming off the board. I take it back. Maybe Sky Moore, Chase Edmonds. I don't really need Chase Edmonds, though. But just have an absolutely stacked running back room. It would be fun to see. Sky Moore comes off the board. We probably, honestly, I hate to say it, we'll go Chase Edmonds here. Completely eliminate two positions. Completely eliminate these two positions. Again, favorite for lead role, not surprising. Um, I think it's pretty obvious that Chase Edmonds is going to be the lead back just based on monetary value. But also the fact that Chase Edmonds was splitting carries with James Conner, and they went out. The Dolphins went out and they got him. They went out and grabbed their guy, Chase Edmonds. I do think he's going to be a starting running back. I mean, Sony Michel, he played decent with the Rams at the end of the year, but any running back, I could play decent in that system, honestly. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll get smoked. But I do think Chase Edmonds is honestly uh, in line for a lot of touches this year. I think he's pretty good value where he's going at this point. Um, Although it does stink that we're not really getting too many of these wide receivers because this guy Ozone is just taking receiver after receiver. Um, it is nice. Now we're probably going to target. I think all these guys will be off the board, but even if not, I don't really want them. We're probably going to target again. I think you guys already know who we're targeting here. I don't think I gotta say his name. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know exactly what we're going for. Um, I think an interesting target too would be Garrett Wilson, but Christian Watson. I mean, come on, Aaron Rodgers, Christian Watson connection's too good. It's the same thing with Christian Watson. Oh my God, Christian Watson coming off the board here. A little disappointing. A little, really disappointing, honestly. I gotta say it. Hopefully, we can get at least a decent wide receiver. I would be fine with Rondell Moore. I would be good to reach on a wide receiver a little bit here, especially considering that's really all we need for the rest of the draft. Tyler Boyd coming off the board. I would take Garrett Wilson here. Rondell Moore. Michael Gallup. Oh, wow. Michael Gallup fall all the way to pick 123. Nice to see Kirk Cousins coming off the board here. This guy's the same exact build as me, except switching the wide receivers and tight ends. Or wide receivers and running backs. You've got Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, though, so it makes sense. And, wow, Kyler and Justin Herbert. His wide receivers, though, are doggy. At least our wide receivers, we have quantity. His wide receivers, or quality. His wide receivers is quantity. I'm hoping here, I guess, to get Garrett Wilson. I think our wide receivers are going to be a little too sparse here. I think we might have played it a little. We might have gone for value a little too much with this running back room, in all honesty. At 31, we probably, in hindsight, should have picked Keenan Allen. But it's all good. We do have phenomenal quarterbacks. Our quarterbacks and our running backs are easily the bread and butter of this team. And then our wide receivers do have upside, I guess, but are not essentially the bread and butter of this team. And then our tight ends are going to be awful. We're going to have to draft 3, which I really don't like doing. But we missed out on pretty much every single guy. There was no Dawson Knox, no Dallas Goedert available, no TJ Hawkinson available. There was really no opportunity for us to go out there and get any tight ends. I mean, we couldn't even get Mark Andrews or Kelsey in the first round, Kyle Pitts. We could have taken Darren Waller, but that's the one tight end I really don't like this year. And then we kind of have these running backs coming off the board, which is exactly what we like to see. We got Cordero Patterson, Melvin Gordon, Alexander Madison, Ramondre Stevenson, and Justin Fields. Let's go. Get these QBs off the damn board. Let's go. That's huge. I want to see Tua off. I want to see all these running backs, our quarterbacks off. I want to see all these running backs off too. As many of these guys we can see off. We're 5 picks away. We got 2 players in mind. 2 players near the top of the leaderboard, but still, Pat Freiermuth would be nice too. A nice consolation prize if we get sniped on both of these players, which it looks like we might. Pat Freiermuth would be a lovely, lovely consolation. If not, I think I have to take Michael Gallup here just because I do want to bolster my wide receiver core as much as possible. And then hope to get a guy. Okay, never mind. We are hoping for Pat Freiermuth here then. If we get Pat Freiermuth and a guy like Cole Kmet or Mike Gesicki, then I think we could still reasonably take 2 tight ends, although we'd be a little uncomfortable. It really depends on if value were to fall to us. But we are in a situation where we could still reasonably take 2 tight ends if we get Freiermuth here. And it is possible. This guy's got Darren Waller, so I imagine he probably won't want. and he doesn't want Freiermuth. So here we do go Pat Freiermuth. We are hoping a little bit of these tight ends fall, especially because, I mean, not a lot of these people have tight ends. This guy's got 3, it looks like. TJ Hawks, Zach Ertz, Dalton Schultz. Interesting, interesting. So we do have Pat Freiermuth here. Our wide receivers are weak. Our tight ends are weak. Everything else is so strong about our team. Can't be too mad. Jameson Williams coming off the board at pick 128. Wow. Okay. Jameson Williams at 128. I like that. I like that pick. I think it's a good pick. Mecole and Jacoby Myers are still on the board. We got Isaiah Spiller coming off. I'm really hoping one of these 2 tight ends fall. Again, I do like Mike Gesicki more, but honestly, recently I've been thinking about it. I do think Cole Kmet is a pretty good tight end, and he is in line for pretty monster volume as well. Mike Gesicki is the only one left. All these guys have tight ends except for one, Preston. I'm a little worried about Preston, but it is possible he tries to secure another wide receiver before targeting a tight end. All these running backs coming off the board. Let's go. That's exactly what we like to see. Jahan Dotson, too. Although Jacoby Myers would be pretty nice, I think Mike Gesicki's got to be the target here. I don't think there's any other way we can really go. Maybe Jacoby Myers would be interesting, but I do want to secure a second tight end. Keep this team a little more balanced, and then we just hammer wide receivers for the entire rest of the draft. Plus, I do have a fair amount of Jacoby Myers shares. So I would like to kind of diversify a little bit, get a little bit more Mike Gesicki, wait until the next round too to get some more talent at wide receiver. I think that would be nice. Can't believe all these running backs just came off the board. Tyler Algier going 20 picks before ADP, but I do understand it. I mean, if you think Tyler Algier, I mean, I guess I don't really understand it. Even if you know Tyler Algier's set to have 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns, if you draft him 2 rounds ahead of ADP, you're just getting worse team combinations than everyone else. Let me just go to the thing to explain this. So basically, let's say he drafts Tyler Algier here, 136. He could have drafted Tyler Algier at 153 right here, and then gotten Mike Gesicki, or Tua, or Jacoby Myers. Whereas the players he's drafting at 153 are generally less quality. So even if you know Tyler Algier is dropping 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns, you can try and get him as many places as you can. And I would say in any place in the 13th round, I would try and snag him. But in the 12th round, reaching a round or two in a player that even if you know he's going to be good, you're getting him at worse values than other people are taking him at. Because people are getting him probably at 153. He's probably fallen to the 160. I wouldn't say the 177, but he's at least fallen to the 160. So you're just getting worse value on a guy that you know is going to pop off, but you're going to have a worse team combination most likely. So that's why, in general, I really just don't advise reaching, and that's why I rarely try and reach more than 5 or 10 picks in ADP, pretty much no matter what. Here, this is really rare to see. We have wide receivers piling up way behind ADP. Way behind ADP. This is something you almost never see. This is really interesting, tight ends coming off the board. Running backs, Tyrion Davis priced 10 picks early. Quarterbacks, Tua and James coming off the board early. Oh my god, 3 straight tight ends. Irv Smith, Hunter Henry, and Albert O. Palmer coming off the board. I was really hoping to get Joshua Palmer there. If not, Jamison Crowder. Totally fine. Not mad. I don't think we'll get him, though. This guy's got 3 wide receivers, B-man. He does have a very similar team comp to me. Very similar. A little too similar. Which I don't like drafting as much around people who have built a very similar team comp to me. It's a little annoying, 1. And 2, it's like you're missing out on a lot of players that they could snipe you with. We're going to take Jalen Tolbert here. Could be a week 1 starter, according to that article. But I also do like the opportunity Jalen Tolbert could be walking into. I mean, that wide receiver 2 in the Cowboys offense is pretty much completely open. I have no idea who they're going to be picking. I don't think many people do. I don't think many people know who the Cowboys number 2 is going to be, whether that be Michael Gallup, whether that be Jalen Tolbert. There's so many different players it could be. James Washington. really, it's absolutely wide open. And the fact that Michael Gallup's missing the first couple games most likely could give a guy like Jalen Tolbert a chance to shine. There's a lot of different opportunity possibilities in an offense that passes almost more than any other offense. I should actually look this up. They probably pass like, top, what, 10 in the league? I mean, easily. Probably pass top 5 in the league. I just think that Jalen Tolbert could be walking into 1,000 yards. It is possible. Is it plausible? No. But in this format where we're trying to go for absolute boom or bust prospects, Jalen Tolbert fits that mold to a T. So we got Trevor Lawrence, Matt Ryan, Alec Pierce, Gerald Everett, Gainwell, KJ Osborne, and Gus Edwards coming off the board. While this is all going on, just take a second just to say, if you guys wouldn't mind going down, leaving a like on this video, leaving a comment, telling me how I did in this draft, whether I made absolutely dumb moves, or if you think I had a good draft. DJ Shark coming off the board. And if you could, please subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. It would actually be awesome. Thank you guys so much. Anyways, back to the video. Deshaun Watson at pick 159. Deshaun Watson. Wow. I like that. Believe me, I do. But again, as I was explaining with Tyler Algier before, it's a reach. It's a reach. It's a pretty fat reach. I love Deshaun Watson in terms, taken out of context, if somebody were to frame that clip, I would definitely be canceled. But in terms of fantasy football upside, I think Deshaun Watson is the single biggest catalyst for fantasy football upside past one pick 75. I mean, who has more fantasy upside than Deshaun Watson past one pick 175? If he's suspended 8 games, oh my God, that would be absolutely beautiful. Even if he's suspended 10 games, you're still getting 7 games of top 5 quarterback play in terms of fantasy production. Cameron Brate coming off the board at pick 163. Another guy who has pretty good upside. But Cameron Brate and Deshaun Watson, saying those two names back to back, who do you think has more upside? And Cameron Brate's a guy I think has a lot of upside. But it's nothing. Nothing compared to Deshaun Watson. Daniel Jones coming off the board at pick 164. Another guy with a decent amount of upside. There is at least some hope. Although Daniel Jones, I mean, we've all seen him throw 9 touchdowns and 10 touchdowns the past 2 seasons. It's been pretty gross, pretty ugly. But that rushing upside is there. And you do figure getting a better coaching staff and should be able to up his touchdown production at least a tiny bit. Corey Davis and Nico Collins coming off the board as well. It's been a pretty interesting draft. Usually you see these wide receivers going off the board early, absolutely flying off the board. But here, wide receivers has fallen. There's been a wide receiver run late, starting with Joshua Palmer, and now not even ending really. We got Corey Davis coming off the board. Now these wide receivers have really been storming off the board. Khalil Herbert and Darrell Williams gone back to back 14 and 15 round. Wow, it's pretty interesting to see so far. We got 4 picks left, and honestly, we're hoping for 4 wide receivers. Whether that be Paris Campbell, KJ Hamler, Will Fuller, Wandell, Devin Duvernay, David Bell. I do like the value on David Bell now, too. Especially if you are getting Deshaun Watson. Getting David Bell and Deshaun Watson, it's honestly like a really interesting stack. Because David Bell pretty much going in like one of the last rounds. You could get him in round 17 and be fine. Do not sweat it. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play, you're probably losing. But if Deshaun Watson does play, you have a much better chance at winning. And that's an if I'm willing to take. Not to keep harping on Deshaun Watson. But we got Sammy Watkins, Zach Wilson, David Njoku coming off the board. This guy's got 8 wide receivers. I imagine he probably doesn't snipe us on any of our guys that we want. We want Campbell. But this guy, B-Man 13, very well might, and he does, taking KJ Hamler. A little annoying. Honestly, decently annoying. But it's okay. It's all good. KJ Hamler, I do have in a ton of leagues. I think he is a pretty, again, high upside prospect. But somebody worse, if his upside does hit, he could potentially win you a league late, you know? It is possibly totally busts as well. And gets no points. but I do think it's interesting. Second round draft pick. Um, Second round draft pick. Injured all of last season, pretty much got no work uh, all of last season due to tearing his ACL. But in his first season, wasn't really able to get too much production. Again, under Drew Lock, so hard to really count exactly what he was able to produce. But he was on the field a fair amount, I think. I forget the exact splits, but I think he was on the field over 60% of the time. Whereas Tim Patrick, I don't know. Me personally, I just can't understand drafting Tim Patrick at all. I would much rather take the young guys in that offense. Obviously, anybody could bond with Russell Wilson. Really anyone could bond with Russell Wilson and end up taking over this offense. But Jerry Jeudy is the one that's undervalued compared to Courtland Sutton. He's being valued way less, a whole round later than Courtland Sutton. And KJ Hamler's being valued way less than Tim Patrick. And both these guys are younger and have very high draft capital invested into them. That's why I think KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy are the two primary options in the Broncos offense, along with other reasons as well. I mean, Drew Lock was absolutely atrocious. You can't really base any receiving qualities off of what Drew Lock did. I mean, obviously you can base some, uh, but I'd say watching the film, looking at advanced stats for wide receivers is probably better in this scenario. Here we're probably going to go with Will Fuller. Get another wide receiver. He should be signed to a team. Should have one or two boom weeks that will supply us with enough fuel to keep going. Marlon Mack coming off the board here. We probably, for this team to really pop off, we would need, I hate to say it, Tyreek Hill to be not playing for one reason or another for a lot of the season, so Jalen Waddle could absolutely take over. Even still, Jalen Waddle should be a target beast, should be an absolute target machine. But I don't know he's going to have the same target volume that he would have without Tyreek Hill. The efficiency is going to go way up. Touchdowns will hopefully go up as well, for Tua especially. I mean, he had 16 touchdowns last year. That should hopefully go up to at least 25 with Tyreek. I mean, Tua's got no excuses anymore at the end of the day. Whether or not I think the Dolphins are actually going to be a great offense remains to be seen. I don't really have all that much faith in Tua. I think he can be a good NFL quarterback. Again, drafted 5th overall. Obviously has the talent to do it, but hasn't really proved it at the NFL level just yet. It's possible in the future he does. And makes everybody look like fools, but for right now, not really looking so. But I will still buy into an offense that's absolutely loaded. I think it's always a smart idea to get these absolutely loaded offenses and get these awesome players and bet on talent. Jalen Waddle, one of the few rookies who had over 100 receptions. I think probably the only rookie of all time, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. If not, one of very few. So I think Jalen Waddle, absolutely target phenom. I hate to use the word phenom, but he's a target phenom. Here we got Rondell Robinson and David Bell still on the board. We're going to scoop up, hopefully both of them. Probably at least one, though. And then we'll call it a day. 2592 build. I think it is a pretty interesting build. I don't usually do 2592, but I do think it's the best build if you have good QBs and good tight ends. I do think this is a pretty interesting build, though. I think I probably should have, in hindsight, maybe grab one more tight end. These tight ends are good. They're useful, but they're not great. They're never gonna win me a league. There was really no tight end value to ever fall to us aside from Freiermuth Gesicki, so I'm not too mad about it. But it is interesting to see a team that waits till tight end really late. That's usually what I do in redraft leagues, especially in like my home league. It's usually what I do. But here, we got Isaiah McKenzie, Curtis Samuel, John Mechie, Raheem Mostert, Mark Ingram, Baker Mayfield. Then I take Wandale, Logan Thomas, Brevin Jordan, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz coming off the board. We got our last pick here. We're really eyeing up, hopefully, one more of these wide receivers. Jerick McKinnon. So weird. I can't believe Jerick McKinnon was getting touches in the playoffs last year. That is one reason to fade Clyde, and one reason Clyde has been falling, and I can really see why. Jarek McKinnon taking touches from Clyde is pretty scary, honestly. And there's really nothing I could say to counter it in terms of Clyde. But Clyde still does have absolutely insane upside. Uh, and that's pretty much why I really do still like Clyde this year, or at least I'm not fading Clyde as much as some other people are. The upside is there, and he most likely will be the starting running back come season start. It's not guaranteed. It is possible Rojo does. There's a few running backs, like also Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon could start. It's one of those offenses that's pretty open, but if I was a betting man, I would say Clyde's got pretty good odds to start. Here we're probably going to take Terrace Marshall and call it a day. Um, Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to take Terrace Marshall here. Uh, Leave a like for Terrace Marshall, please, if you could. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how I did in this draft. And please, if you did enjoy the video, please subscribe. It would honestly mean the world to me. You could always change your mind later. Terrace Marshall is calling your name. Anyways, that'll be it from me. I hope you guys have a great day or great night or great whatever time you're watching. And thank you guys so much.